The chamber didn't simply quiet down, it stopped breathing. A wave of stillness rolled across the benches as Nigel Farage delivered a statement so disruptive, so politically radioactive that Westminster has been rattled to its foundations. For months, there have been murmurs hidden in committee rooms, rumours hustled through corridors, deals whispered behind closed doors, and a government clutching onto authority while the nation decays around them. But today, literally a minute ago, Farage stood and finally said what millions have been begging to hear. He didn't wrap it in parliamentary courtesy. He didn't hedge. He didn't negotiate. He turned and stared directly at the Prime Minister and issued a challenge so unprecedented that it may trigger the most significant democratic confrontation Britain has faced in decades. This isn't about ideology. This isn't about parties. This is about accountability, or the collapse of it. The atmosphere in the Commons was suffocating. Viewers could feel the pressure through their screens at home. MPs fidgeted, coughed, stared at the green carpet, pretended to check their notes. Others flashed nervous looks at colleagues. And across from them sat the Prime Minister. Smooth posture, controlled breathing. That synthetic calm politicians apply like a mask. But anyone with a pulse could see that the edges were cracking because Farage had been granted the floor. And everyone knew this wasn't going to be swallowed by procedure. Farage rose with deliberate calculation, tightening his jacket. He didn't look like a man asking questions. He looked like a man delivering judgment. The cameras locked in. The country leaned forward. The moment before he spoke already felt historic. And then he unleashed. No polite intros, no parliamentary pageantry. He pushed the blade in immediately. He laid out a devastating catalogue of failure, economic paralysis, immigration chaos, collapsing services, and a country where ordinary life has become unaffordable. Families crushed by energy bills, small businesses dying off, crime tearing through neglected neighbourhoods, the NHS on life support. It wasn't abstract theory, it was the daily exhaustion of millions. Farage then detonated his second charge, the separation between Westminster and real people. While families choose between food and heating, MPs sit cushioned on subsidised meals. While tradesmen go bankrupt, Parliament adjusts its salaries. While citizens beg for assistance, government factions claw at each other like rival fiefdoms. The hypocrisy was blistering, the tension unbearable. MPs started shuffling, some shouting procedural nonsense just to interrupt the demolition. But the Speaker let Farage continue. Why? Because something was shifting. Then came the detonation point. Farage paused long enough for every breath in the chamber to sound loud. He stared straight at the Prime Minister and delivered his demand. Not a request, not a hopeful plea. Dissolve Parliament. Call an immediate general election. Now. Not in 6 months. Not next year. Not on the government's preferred timetable. Now. Because legitimacy has expired. The words cracked through the chamber like artillery. Government benches erupted, furious, wounded, humiliated. Outrageous! Who does he think he is? But the opposition benches, different story entirely. Some clapped, others nodded. And on social media, the explosion was instant. Hashtags trending, millions of views within minutes, commentators scrambling for airtime. Love Farage or hate him. You couldn't deny what had occurred. He challenged the right of the government to exist. And then he brought data. Polling, economic indicators, confidence surveys, public frustration boiling past party lines. The government has not just lost support, it has lost comprehension of the population. Labour, Conservative, Lib Dems, everyone is flocking to one conclusion. This government has lost the mandate to rule. GDP stalling, business capital fleeing, the pound weakened, debt inflated, investment leaking to safer economies, economic forecasters contradicting the official optimism at every turn. Then he targeted trust, not failure of policy, but collapse of faith. Promises broken, scandals buried, policies hyped, then binned, MPs treating Parliament like a launch pad for private careers, corporate revolving doors spinning, closed-door decisions replacing transparency. Every week, another scandal. Every month, another disgrace. And yet the government waits, assuming the public will move on. But they haven't, and they won't. The chamber was a storm, MPs shouting, the Speaker barking for order. But Farage pushed into the heart of the argument. Democracy is accountability, not one vote every few years, not legalistic authority, not the technical right to govern. If a government has lost confidence on a national scale, continuing to govern becomes not just stubborn, but anti-democratic. Legislated monarchy, elected dictatorship. Because what good is a majority if it becomes a weapon against the people who granted it? Farage's reasoning wasn't partisan. It was systemic. If governments can fail spectacularly and still govern uncontested, democracy is theatre, not power. And Brits feel that fracture intuitively. Public pressure is mounting. Petitions exploding, protests forming, streets filling with dissent, social momentum turning into physical mobilisation. And suddenly the government faces a nightmare scenario. Ignore Farage and prove him right. Accept his demand and walk into electoral slaughter. They need to hold authority, but they can't withstand scrutiny. So they will attack, they will reframe, they will accuse him of opportunism, of reckless populism, of stoking instability. They will hide behind scheduled elections and continuity. But the problem is simple. Public anger is no longer controllable. Information moves too fast, narratives break instantly, and now ordinary citizens are asking the dangerous question out loud. If the government is hated, mistrusted and rejected, why shouldn't the people get a new vote? And that is the question no government in crisis can answer cleanly.